That seat is saved. It's always saved, for whoever needs it most. Willa Crane said it every single day at the Meadowbrook Early Learning Center, her small voice carrying the absolute authority of a 4-year-old who has made a decision and intends to keep it. She would arrange her lunchbox on the left side of the table and place her little fabric bookmark, a yellow one with a sun on it, on the chair beside her, and she would eat her lunch and watch the room with patient, open eyes, waiting. The teachers had noticed. They mentioned it to each other in the quiet way adults mention things that move them and don't quite know what to do with. Some days other children sat there. Some days no one did. But Willa kept the seat saved regardless, with the steady, unhurried faith of someone who is certain that the right person is coming, even if they haven't arrived yet. Willa was 4 years old, and she moved through the world in a small wheelchair, the result of a spinal condition she had been born with that had taken her ability to walk, but not, as anyone who spent 5 minutes with her could confirm, a single other thing. She was curious and direct and laughed easily and had the particular gift of making people feel that being near her was the most natural thing they'd ever done. Her mother, Delaney Crane, was 30 years old and raised Willa alone. Willa's father had passed when Willa was 18 months old, a sudden cardiac event that had rearranged Delaney's entire life overnight. She worked as a dental hygienist, drove Willa to school each morning, and had built around the two of them a life that was small in square footage and large in everything that mattered. She was the kind of mother who learned everything about her daughter's world so she could walk beside her in it without making her feel watched. The boy appeared on a Monday in October. His name was Forrest Aldane. He was 4 years old, newly enrolled, and he stood in the doorway of the lunchroom on his first day with the particular stillness of a child who has learned that new places are usually hard. He was slight and serious, with dark eyes that moved carefully around the room, assessing, the way children do when they have learned not to assume they will be welcomed. He had reason for the caution. Forrest had attended 2 previous programs that year. One had closed, one had been the wrong fit, and each new start had reinforced in him the quiet, developing belief that belonging was something that happened to other children. He stood in the doorway with his lunchbox and looked at the room full of noise and claimed tables and didn't move. Willa saw him immediately. She picked up her yellow bookmark from the save chair, held it up so he could see it, and in her clear, carrying voice, she said, "This seat is saved. It's saved for you." Forrest looked at her. He pointed at himself. She nodded once, the decisive nod of someone who has been waiting and is now done waiting. He walked over slowly and sat down, and she handed him the bookmark and said, "You can hold it. It's a sunny day bookmark. It means the seat's yours now." He held it with both hands and looked at it for a long moment. Then he looked at her. "How did you know it was for me?" She considered this with appropriate seriousness. "Because you looked like you needed it the most."
His father, Callum Aldane, was 33 years old. He had built a logistics technology company in his late 20s that had grown, quietly and steadily, into something that now touched supply chains in 6 countries. He was organized and capable and had navigated the last 2 years of single parenthood, since Forrest's mother had passed from an illness that moved too quickly, with the same methodical care he brought to everything. He loved his son with an intensity that occasionally frightened him, because he understood now, in a way he hadn't before, how much could be lost. He picked Forrest up that Monday afternoon and found him quieter than usual in the car, which was not uncommon after a difficult day. He asked how it went. Forrest was silent for a moment. Then he said, "There was a girl. She saved the seat for me. She said she knew it was mine because I needed it the most." Callum glanced in the rearview mirror. Forrest was holding a small yellow fabric bookmark. "Did you say thank you?" Callum asked. "I said I'd save it back for her tomorrow," Forrest said. The next morning, Forrest arrived early, arranged his lunchbox on the right side of the table, and placed the yellow bookmark on the chair beside him. When Willa came in and saw it, her face opened into the fullest smile Callum had ever seen on a child he didn't know, and he had been watching from the doorway. He had come in 5 minutes early, telling himself it was to make sure Forrest found his way. He was still standing in the doorway when a woman arrived beside him, Delaney Crane, equally early, equally telling herself it was just to make sure, and they both stood watching their children arrange their small world with a generosity that exceeded what most adults managed. "Is that yours?" Callum asked, nodding toward Willa. "She is," Delaney said, and there was everything in those 2 words: pride, tenderness, the quiet ferocity of a parent who has built a whole life around keeping one small person safe and seen. "She saved my son's seat," he said. He talked about it the entire drive home. Delaney smiled. "She saves it every day. She said someone always needs it. I think she's been waiting for the right someone. What neither parent knew yet was what the teachers had quietly observed over 3 weeks, that Willa and Forrest had developed between them a friendship of remarkable completeness for two 4-year-olds. That Forrest, unprompted, learned to position his chair so Willa could reach the things in the center of the table. That Willa had taught him her system for saving seats, the bookmark on the chair, and that he had begun doing it on her behalf when she arrived after him, so her spot was always held. Two children, each carrying a loss too large for their small shoulders, had found in each other the specific companionship of someone who understands without needing to be told that some days are heavier than others, and that sitting next to someone who knows that is the whole point. Callum and Delaney began arriving at the same early time each morning, first by coincidence, and then by a mutual unspoken acknowledgement that the 5 minutes in the doorway had become something they looked forward to. They talked about their children and then about other things, about the particular difficulty of raising a child alone, about what you hold on to and what you let go, about the strange way grief changes your relationship with ordinary moments. They did not rush toward each other. They were both people who had learned the cost of things ending, and that made them careful. But careful is not the same as closed, and over months of doorway mornings and occasional parallel pickup conversations, something honest and warm built itself between them. On the last day before the winter break, Willa placed the yellow bookmark on Forrest's chair before he arrived. When he sat down, he looked at it and then at her and said, with the gravity of a 4-year-old making a permanent declaration, "I'm going to sit next to you every day, even when I'm big." Willa nodded. "Me too," she said, "because that's what the seat is for people who don't leave." Delaney, standing in the doorway, heard it. She didn't look at Callum, but she felt him go still beside her, the way people go still when something true lands close. After a moment, he said, quietly, "She's remarkable." "She learned it from needing it," Delaney said. "She knows what it costs to sit alone." A long pause. Then Callum said, "So does he."
The moral of this story lives in a 4-year-old's yellow bookmark placed daily on an empty chair. Not because she was asked, not because she was certain anyone would come, but because she knew what it felt like to wonder if there was a place for her, and she had decided, with the whole of her small heart, that no one else should have to wonder. Save the seat, every day, for whoever needs it most. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, subscribe, and comment. Let's spread more stories of kindness and hope together.